Hello everyone, Sandra here, and I'm back with a layout. I'll be using an oldie but goodie from Creative Memories, their Disney collection. And my background cardstock for the frame is Ruby Red by Basil. So let's get started with this. What I want to do is keep the red as the final background. And then I'm going to trim out each of the sheets of the Disney cardstock, leaving like a quarter of an inch around between each layer. So I'm going about 3 layers of this, the blue, the pink, and end with the blue on top. Isn't that pretty paper? I'm also wanting to ink the edges of the cardstock because they're very light, which is what I like, that light pastel color for this layout, but I want them defined between the layers. So using a little Tim Holtz antique brass on it works really well. It'll define each layer, but it won't take anything away from the cardstock and the design that they have. The frame that I'm putting on Bella's photo, I'm not going to ink the edges. I want that to just kind of flow just the way it is. I don't, it's okay if these aren't as defined as the background cardstock. Whenever I ink the edges of my cardstock or anything that I ink the edges of, I usually find something else to do and let it dry a bit. Even though it dries quickly, if I'm fooling around with it and touching it while it's still wet, it'll smudge, and then I'll get it on my picture or some other embellishment or the cardstock. And it only takes maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds to dry. So I just set it aside. And while it's drying, I had time to go ahead and mat my photos, which works out really well. So now it's good to touch. Basically, all I'm doing is layering it so that it's very centered on top of one another. I want it really centered. And I kept turning that bottom blue around because I wanted the swirls to end up in a certain order, in a certain place, like kind of marrying with what's on top. So when I look at this layout, I could actually stop really early. I could lay the photo down, even without adding any more mats to it, and put the title and the journaling on. And it's good because this cardstock has enough going for it. And I'm also, if you notice, using my scraps of fun foam. I keep trying to use up scraps of everything. Uh, so even my fun foam, I'm trying to get rid of the tiny little pieces. So one of the things I think look neat is when I look at other scrapbookers and I see them mixing up different types of letters in their titles. And I don't always do that. It's kind of rare, but I'm trying to do it a little bit more because I really like it. I started trying it and I'm doing it with this one. I'm using thickers, and the smaller tan letters are from Bo Bunny's combo stickers. And then the black sticker Princess is Creative Memories. So it's kind of neat, like mixing stuff up and seeing if you can make them work on your layout, because that's another way to also use your stash of products. If I keep using my thickers, which I like a lot, then I'll keep buying more stickers, but I won't be using up some of my other stash of letters that are really nice, that work really well, that make a layout pop, and they kind of sit there. So I'm making myself dig in and use other products that I have that are just kind of sitting there. And sometimes when I buy those large sheets of stickers that have borders, and they have little embellishments on it, plus they have different styles of letters, like the Bo Bunny combo sticker sheet that I have. On that sheet, I used it for a layout. I used some of the products for a layout on there, but I didn't use the entire sheet. So I have a bunch left over that I can add in. And even though when you look at, sometimes when I look at a particular sheet, like that Bo Bunny sheet, it looks older, like it's not for a little girl. But if I take a few of those letters and I add it to this, it works. even more of it would work, and pending what I do with it. So basically, what I'm doing is really trying to dig into my stash because I realize I have a lot of good old stuff, especially since I started doing like a Saturday stash dive. And I dig in there and I go, gosh, I didn't know I had this. I'm like, wow, this is like I've hit the jackpot. And so, if I get a little creative, I can use a lot of that old stash and mix it with a lot of the newer stuff out here. In this case, the only newer things that I'm using here is the Basil Ruby Red cardstock and the thickers. Everything else is, years old. So, but it doesn't look years old. It looks really nice. And anyway, my whole point is dig into your stash, see what you have, try and use it. Um, it's good stuff. And, mix it with the new stuff that's out here today because that's pretty cool. A lot of it works together. And I know I must sound a little stuffy here and there. I'm fighting a head cold, and the head cold is winning. Yuck. But I keep trying all sorts of things for it, and I don't know. I've been drinking all sorts of concoctions, and so far, the head cold's just, you know, drinking it up and going, so what else you got? Anyway, I don't like not feeling good. But it's funny, ever since I had my tonsils out, my throat, even though I get a sore throat, it's never like the way it used to be. When I had my tonsils and my throat was in so much pain, I had to like wrap it in ice or something like that. I never get that sore of a throat as before. It hurts, but nothing like that. So I don't know. I think that's pretty amazing. Anyway, back to the layout. I'm trying to use up a lot of these little Disney stickers, and some of them are creative memories, and I think some of them might just be other Disney things. But the long sheets with the princess, those are, I believe, creative memories. And I'm getting close to the end here, but I can't stop putting stuff down. I keep trying to use so much of this stuff, though. I know I keep saying that, but some of this stuff has been in my stash for like 8 to 10 years, I would say. Like since my daughter was 5. That's how I measure things, by how old she is. How long did I have that sweater? Oh, I got it when she was 2 years old, but it still works. It's just faded a little bit. But this stuff does not fade. Isn't that amazing? Scrapbook supplies, they don't fade. Anyway, somewhere along the line I found Tiger's tail too, so I put that back on there. But this was a fun layout to do. And I look back at the background of that photo and I see like the changes my house has gone through too. Lately, when I'm looking at a lot of the photos in our home, I'm not cropping out stuff in the background because that itself is a memory of what our home looked like through the years. Anyway, I stuck a little feather on her layout, and you'll probably see more feathers, particularly when I do her baby album, because we call her Little Feather something or the other all the time. Little Feather runs around a lot. Little Feather laughs a lot. She's had all sorts of Little Feather names. And so I am near done here. I have to put some pearls on here. What is a princess without her pearls? And as always, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll have a close-up for you in a moment. Do like, subscribe, come back again, and you can share my layouts with your buddies. You have an awesome day and happy scrapbooking, and I will see you next time.